Welcome back, everybody. My name's Ryan Selvy, and I am your host today for the After Effects Challenge for Day 4. This is our last day of working together. Tomorrow we'll be going over and doing some recapping, but today is the last day, so let's make sure we get into it and we loop out these animations. If you're tuning in live on the chat on Behance, hello to you. Hello to Umacorn and Sean, Gareth and Wade, Annika, Robert and Reaver, Mike. Great to see everybody here. Jack, of course, as well, who just got off her own Adobe Live, so props to that. Good show. And hello to anybody that's over on YouTube watching. And if you're watching the replay, you can still get plenty out of this. Unfortunately, you don't have the direct back and forth to ask questions. But if you're in the chat today and you do have questions, please go ahead and type them on out, and I am happy to get to them as we can because we're wrapping things up today. We're going to be creating this completed loop for your spring cleaning. Vandal is in the YouTube chat. Hello to Vandal. Basically, we've gotten pretty much all of the pieces in place now. Now we just kind of have to create a looping style animation. So if we hop on over to good old After Effects, we can see that we have our 4-panel view section set up. Katarina has a question in the chat, so please, by all means, throw it in there, Katarina. And basically, what we're going to do today is we're going to animate this active camera that we created yesterday. So it's all the way at the bottom here. I'm going to press Control Shift and right bracket. We're going to put it all the way up to the top. And then we're going to actually just go into one view for camera. I'm going to look up both the point of interest and the position because both need to move if we want it to loop seamlessly. And I'm just going to go to a non-important spot, maybe like, 3 or 4 seconds into it, and make some other keyframes to move it. And then I'm going to move the point of interest by moving it to the left to say we want to go over there. And then I'm also going to move the camera as well over. Now, you can do this all manually through your numbers, or you can also make sure camera is selected in your view pane, and you can actually just kind of size it out yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to hop between these two and try to line them up as best we can. And just get them to a place so that when it loops out, it feels consistent. So getting closer, and you'll notice that there's a sweeper guy in the second spot that we don't have here, and that's okay because we can always adjust that accordingly. So you can also adjust either spots. You're going to be updating whatever you have as a part of your piece. But you'll see right now also when we go here, one big change that we're noticing is that there is an absence of this wall beyond the veil. Can you pan in all directions? You bet you can. You can do left, right, up, down. It's a Wonkavator, it'll go any direction you want it to go. So feel free to pan and do whatever you want. If you want to do a full circle and make a diorama that is in a circle direction, you are more than welcome to do that as well. It's really as much as you see fit. Now what I'm doing is I'm just duplicating just a few elements because we don't need all the elements to repeat. We just need the ones that are going to kind of showcase themselves here in this landscape. So now we can kind of see that there's no black over there. And then hypothetically, if we were to play it through, it will look like it is going to loop in such a way, because I'm going to bring down the playhead here to the 4 seconds. And let's see if this pans in the way that we want it to. And it's looking pretty good. I mean, there's a few things that are happening here where we're seeing a little bit of a jump where maybe the floor is a little different, or we actually have to update some of the objects that are missing, like the guy opening up the door or having the table actually be in place. So what I'm actually going to do here is, in order to remedy that, one easy way you can do is if you go ahead and you just copy and paste said table, and we're going to do a very similar thing to how we managed to find the door. So we're going to move ahead. We're going to say, okay, it's going to be like around here. We can, even if we need to, bring up a ruler with Control R, add a spot for it. And then as we move again and we have our new table, we can actually grab that table, move it along, have it line up in the same exact spot. And then now it's going to magically loop a little bit better. When you're done with your ruler, you can just kind of drag it off to the side and you're good to go. Thank you, Wade. I'm glad the little leg kick gets you every time. He's very excited about spring. But we are noticing a little bit too that we're a little bit more zoomed out than we were in the previous iteration. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hop in here and I'm going to go up to my camera. We're going to highlight everything. And I am going to actually go in and zoom in just a little bit. And let's see how that looks. I'm going to actually have to zoom in here too. Under cam options, I believe that is what we were adjusting, right? No, it's not. No. Where are we adjusting? No numbers changing here. No numbers changing here. All right. So, Ryan is exploring something new here. So, gonna highlight everything again. We're gonna bring it up. And I want it to be a little bit more zoomed in, a little bit brought up, like here. This is the new spot that we want. And similarly, we're going to take in here. I'm going to add a small thing. In the working file, what I ended up actually doing is I ended up, honestly, using a null to move everything rather than the camera. But I think that it's probably best to actually just measure everything out and get it to hop between the two. And so by using our rulers, we are able to get into a better spot where we can zoom in and match up accordingly. That way, when it pans, it feels a little less stark with the idea of this disappearing and reappearing. So with that in mind, we can actually go ahead and also pan the camera down a little bit because it's looking a little steep. And I'm going to just go ahead and move the, what is it? Yeah, the y-axis down just a bit. We'll do what? 113.2. 113.2. And I feel like that's a better space for us. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Now, we do notice that this is kind of appearing in a way that, like, when it's first showing up, he appears, but then over here it has already happened, and that's because this isn't a new piece. Instead, it is something that is already there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go in, and the guy that's opening it up, which I don't even know if we have him included. We do. See, he's right there. If we go in, we can actually get rid of him because we don't need him at all, because by the time that he comes in, it's going to be looping. So we're going to go through to the second push animation. We'll delete it. And then even for the back wall, we have the animation of it starting too fast. So let's just do freeze frame because it's going to be closed anyway. And then, oh, did I freeze frame the wrong one though? Did I? I did. All right, we're gonna freeze frame this one, and now if you go into here and you click freeze frame, it should just be the closed one, and then that way we can loop it out. So he's opening it. It's moving along. It's not going to be this jumpy. It's just the fact that my computer is rendering it while we're doing it. And look at that. Now, it appears that we have a little bit of a jump going on where it zooms in because we haven't matched up our camera well enough. So I'm going to go in here, and I want to just have a modifier real quick where we maybe zoom in just a smidge. Let's see if this fixes it. Nice. Okay. Cool. And then it might even have to go down just a little bit more, or we push back our point of interest. Let's see. Are you still in the same XY? All right. So we want to actually still have it be in the same place. So it's 1278.8. I want to say 1278.8. Then we should be able to really kind of flip between these two and still get a similar vibe. We can see that there is a weird thing happening here with extra bushes. So we can go down to our custom view if we want to, and you can get to that also by going and clicking up into your active camera where there's not an object. Come on. Or down here and go to custom view 1, and then I'm just going to pan around in our custom view and mess around to get rid of this extra bush that we have that we do not want. It seems like we have a duplicate of a few here, so we can delete you and you and you and you, and sometimes it just happens when you have some layer management that you need to get fixed out. And just as a reminder, we're in custom view, so we're not actually adjusting the camera. We're only adjusting the way that we see it for our reference. And then if we want to switch back to camera view, we can always either go back into 4-way mode, or we can go in and just go to camera 1, and then it should show us. Now, we're a little bit lower than my example, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do now then is we're just going to create a solid. And if we create a new solid and we make it like a nice pretty sky blue, we can actually incorporate that into the scene and just put it all the way in the back here. So then now you'll be able to see it as a means of a background where anything is not shown. You can also see up here that we have a small area above the wall that is showcasing negative space. And what we can do as a quick workaround for that, if we don't want to go in and adjust our camera because we're happy with our camera, is we can actually do a similar thing with creating this new overlay. And if we don't make it 3D, it will still lay on top as if it's like in a 2D environment. And you can just go ahead and you can drag it up. And then that way it will go and cover up things accordingly. So now we have a sky and we have a top of the wall, and we don't have to worry about the issues of what's showing up. So now we can also add a few more things to put the cherry on top to make this really pretty. We can also add a light if we wanted to, and certain things can cast shadows and others cannot cast shadows, and it's up to you. Although I also want to see what's up with the flooring we have going on here. Maybe it's fine. Oh, okay. All right. We might just have to like move it back or something, or move the scale with it. But that's the devil's in the details. So I'm going to go back to also to my custom view so I don't accidentally adjust my camera in any way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Layer, New Light. Okay, and I like to normally do at least one ambient light, because that'll light absolutely everything. Because once you start introducing the idea of lighting, it's going to darken a lot. So ambient light for me Uh, a null can be your bestie when dealing with 3D cameras. Yes, 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 absolutely. And so when we put in the ambient light, it kind of will light everything, but I want something more dramatic than that. So I'm also going to go into layer, new, and we can do a spotlight. And this will just give us kind of another light to add some shadow. You go into here and you'll change it into spot. Intensity is super high, but we will adjust it accordingly. And you can already see here that there is some lighting going on here. So what I want to do is I actually want to like kind of tie it to the camera because I want the camera and it to move one together. So we're going to tie it to the camera. And now as we go back to our camera view, we'll see that there are now these like blown out shadows that are way too bright for the actual thing. So you can go down here, you can bring down the intensity. You can also say whether or not you want it to cast shadows or not with shadow darkness or shadow diffusion. Turn on cast shadows. But then you'll notice that no shadows pop up. So you have to go in and you have to actually activate your shadows over here on the trash can. When you go under material options, you can go in and you can turn cast shadows to on. And when you do that, you will see that there is now a small shadow in place of where you would think it would be. And it is also going to go on the back wall as well. So with this spotlight, we still think that the intensity is a little too big. So let's bring it down quite a bit. And what I want to do is I also want to do the shadow darkness to come down a little bit, maybe diffuse it a little bit, just so that it's not as stark. And as I do that, it will affect everything that is being shadow casted with this spotlight, which is nice. So I can go in and I'll go through a few different items that we have, and I'll turn on the ability to have material options and cast shadows to on, and you'll see that it pops up as well. And then as we play through, you'll see that the shadows also move along the back. Now we are noticing there is a cutoff of this top area that we used and we kind of cheated with. And you can actually go through if you wanted to. You could either make it into a 3D object and then you can mess with it that way, or you can go and extend the wall. You could also just change the color of it. There's a few different options for it. Normally what I would do is I'd probably hop back into it and we would maybe adjust the camera. You see that I turned on the shadows for this table. We'll do the same thing for the standing lamp. But as you go through and you turn on all of the cast shadows, you can also turn on and off accepts lights if you wanted to. So if you wanted to remain unaffected by something, but you wanted everything else in the object to continue in the canvas to continue taking the space up, that you can do that as well. But just for the sake of consistency, let's actually go ahead and we can make this pale yellow solid a 3D shape. It will get a little weird for a second, but then if we go ahead and we grab it in 3D space and we center it to the canvas and we attach it to the walls, then it should be fine. Where are you? So let's go to custom view. And we can find it right here. We can even do 4-view. That way I can make sure it's lined up properly. And I'm going to move it back so that it's in line with the rest of the content here. And then we can even align it to the back wall, which I believe is located over here. And with that, you'll be able to see the wall in this spot. There you go. There it is. And if I wanted to, I could even like go and maybe just stretch that all the way. And once again, this is just kind of like if you are a little pressed for time and you want to kind of have that as a solution. You'll see now it's fully there and it's across the thing. It's still accepting shadows. And so then when we go back to our camera view of one view, it now remains accurate to said piece of work. Now, this is on the Z plane. We want to make sure it's lined up. We can also do this with nulls. We can mess around. But it appears that I messed up my camera. There are some more fine details that I would do if I had more time here, but we're only about 5 minutes left. Are there any questions in chat or in that anyone that's working on their own piece that definitely want to work on something? I hope this at least gives you the basics of the idea to be able to create this 2D, 3D space, and you continue to play around with the possibilities of it. You can see that there's shadow on this guy. There's shadows on the walls, and they repeat up. But you can really have fun with it. You can add a lot of dynamic lighting to it by messing with the intensities and the colors. We are able to play around with nulls if we want to deal with the speed of the camera and the point of interest. But what we could probably do, since we do have another second, is we could probably take the time to go into our camera settings, and if we go into camera options and we just increase the zoom just so slightly, let's see, we can probably just get rid of that messy wall that I made, because ain't nobody got time for that. So there we go. That's much better. See, sometimes the easier answer is just the right answer. It's like, just do the hard work and then get to where you need to be. But yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to do this with me. You'll notice that in this one, we only have the guy pushing open the door. But we have plenty of other ones where we can add the sweeping if we wanted to, where we can go in. I have the sweeping animation. The sweeping animation, as we were showing before, is just this loop out we made earlier in the week. And all you have to do to add him is you drag and drop it into your canvas. You were going to add it to 3D. You, let's see, where is he placed? He's placed over here. And we want to bring him up and bring up his scale. And the beauty is, if he is only in the middle of whatever you're creating, then you have the luxury of not having to worry about him looping, because he'll be in the middle of your animation. And you go here, and then as long as he exists in that space, he's going to move with everything else. So let's see if when he plays that this is going to come, and he'll open up the door with his little leg flip. He'll vanish here, but then he's already over here sweeping, which if we wanted to try to make sure that everything made sense in the universe, we could go ahead and we could even actually make him be transparent in and out with keyframes. But it's really up to whatever your style is and whatever you want to see it really manifest, and kind of what you want your subjects to be. So let's go to 0 here. That way he's invisible. You can kind of phase in, sweep his way, and then as he's about to leave the camera, we're going to copy and paste it. We'll do a keyframe assistant where we do some time reverse keyframes. That way he will kind of appear. Same thing with the guy opening the door. We can go ahead and we can find that that composition that we have, the pushing animation, and it looks like his opacity was already kind of starting to be affected, but if we wanted to push it up so we can see him disappear, we can just make it a little bit earlier, and then he will go away. The universe is supposed to make sense? No, of course not. That would be too easy, wouldn't it? It appears I already had the dusting animation, but he was up there. But instead, we want to have this sweeping animation, and we want to bring up his visibility in and out so that he's still on camera when it happens. Maybe we want to even like move it over a little bit. That way he disappears, and then he kind of appears over here and continue. And same as with anything else. Even though he's a composition, you can go in and you can adjust, and you can say, I want him to accept I want him to accept shadows. I want him to not accept shadows, cast shadows, you name it. And that will also appear in the objects behind it that are also activated. So this is the animation loop that we've made. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will be answering questions tomorrow, doing a little recap. So please, by all means, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and said hello. And thank you for checking it out. And I hope to see you guys in the Discord. It is the premier Discord, even though this is the After Effects Challenge. And I hope to see y'all real soon. All right, take care.